my name is Celeste Schreiber, and I studied snook habitat and distribution for this project. I was originally interested in studying snook because I wanted to learn more about their northward range expansion related to mangroves with increasing temperatures and fewer freezing events. This presentation is intended for an audience of university students for the basic understanding of an important recreational fish species and how it is impacting by changing climate conditions.
Hi, my name is Austin Metzger. We decided to do a PowerPoint presentation to display our data because we know that our target audience doesn't like information that isn't necessary for the cause. So we decided to get rid of any unnecessary cuts or edits that come with other sources such as videos, and a PowerPoint allows us to display our data as simply and clear and concise as possible.
Hi, my name is Preston Wilkerson. I chose to do snook for the fisheries project because I grew up in Tampa, Florida, and I've been fishing my whole life, especially for snook. And I thought it would be really cool to do the project on them, to do more research on them, and learn more about their fisheries.
Hi, my name is
To start off with the general characteristic that snook have, they are a very elongated fish. They have a sloping forehead and a lower protruding jaw that forms an underbite, and they have very angular fins, as you can see in the picture. These fins turn yellow during the spawn. Sometimes you'll see pictures of people who have caught them during the spawn, and they look like bananas. They can grow up to 120 centimeters, which is just over 47 inches. In the Gulf, they grow to a smaller maximum size, and they achieve that at a slower rate than those in the Atlantic. Scientists have estimated they can live up to 20 years. However, the oldest that scientists have found were 18 years old, being a female, and a 15-year-old male. Snook have a variety of adaptations to help them survive. One of which is the ability to survive in low oxygenated water, often found in estuaries and backwater conditions. These environments are very optimal for juvenile snook to grow and to feed in a safe environment. Snook are also hermaphrodites. They're all born as male and they transition into female around 2.4 to 9.4 inches, or within the time span of 1 to 7 years. This usually occurs after their first time spawning. Snook are also ambush predators. Their large fins do not make them a streamlined hunter such as a jack, so they have to attack their prey in quick bursts of speed. Snook have a very diverse diet. As larvae, they eat zooplankton, as you can see in the bottom left picture, until they're around 1.8 inches. After they reach this size, they pretty much eat anything that moves. Their main diet consists of crustaceans such as pink shrimp, brown shrimp, and blue crabs, as well as fish such as mullet, pinfish, herring, or hara, and any other fish they can put into their mouth. They're an opportunistic predator and are adapted to hunt and consume a wide variety of foods with their large mouth. What does this mean for snook as a game fish? Snook live in environments close to land, which allows them to be targeted by a large group of people. Anyone can go pick up a fishing rod, go out to a saltwater location that has these fish, and target them. Part of this is because of their large diet. Because it eats so many different prey items, they eat a wide variety of lures. As you can see in the top right picture, a man has caught a snook on a lure called a flare hawk, and quite frankly, that doesn't look like any fish I've seen it swimming in the ocean. Due to this, they are under strict regulations. They have a slot length to protect the breeding females, as they have the highest fecundity, as well as a season that is placed upon these fish, allowing the population to recover after being fished during the open season.
The common snook is found on both the Gulf and Atlantic coasts of Florida up to Cape Canaveral and Tarpon Springs. Snook are a temperature-limited species, limited by about 40 degrees Fahrenheit, but they can be found further north during warmer winters. With less freezing events, mangrove and snook distribution has expanded northward, making snook an important species to study tropicalization and the effects of a warming climate. This also has impacts on competition between species and predator-prey relationships in northern habitats as they invade. For example, snook have been found to directly compete for resources with historically dominant and popular sport fishes, especially red drum and spotted sea trout. Juvenile snook are primarily found in rivers and estuaries where salinities and dissolved oxygen levels are lower. These habitats provide overhanging vegetation and shallow water, promoting juvenile snook success with nutrients for them to feed on and protection from predators. Most predators of juvenile snook cannot tolerate the same low oxygen levels and salinities as snook can. Mangrove forests, seagrass beds, salt marshes, and nearshore reefs are important habitats for adult snook and juvenile snook as well. These habitats provide a diverse range of food sources while allowing snook to avoid predators. For example, snook find shelter in the mangrove roots and can move into seagrass beds to search for larger prey items. Mangrove forests are an important habitat for snook and other fishes. As leaves from mangroves fall into the water and decay, invertebrates and algae break them down and serve as a crucial food source for snook. This relationship between snook and mangroves is part of the reason why we see their populations following the northward range expansion of mangroves.
Common snook support one of the largest recreational fisheries in Florida, as well as one of the most popular. In 1957, Florida state legislation declared common snook a game fish, prohibiting its sale. The total catch of snook in 1999 was estimated to be about 1.7 million. And ever since its sale has been prohibited, it's been primarily a catch and release fishery, as about only 90.1 thousand were harvested from this 1.17 million in 1999. Before Florida state legislation declared common snook a game fish, prohibiting its sale, there was a short commercial catch history, as you can see here, starting in 1950 that goes until about 1957 when the legislation was passed. And in the South Atlantic in 1951 at its peak was around 200,000 pounds of fish harvested, and in the Gulf of Mexico about 500,000 pounds of fish harvested. There have been many management goals for snook since its sale has been prohibited in 1957. In 1985, snook were considered severely depleted, and conservative management strategies were suggested to minimize harvest and increase the chances of snook recovering. FWC had a management goal of around 40% spawning potential ratio on both the Gulf and Atlantic coasts of Florida. The regulations for snook fishing in Florida differ between the Atlantic and the Gulf Coast. In the Atlantic, the closed season is between December 15th and January 31st, and June 1st and August 31st. The slot limit for these snook is no less than 28 inches or more than 32 inches in total length. The bag limit is also one fish per person per day. On the other hand, on the Gulf Coast, the closed season is from December 1st to the end of February and May 1st to August 31st. The slot limits adds an extra inch, as you cannot keep a snook less than 28 inches or more than 33 total length, and the bag limit is still the same with one fish per person per day. There are many other regulations that one must follow when fishing for snook. There's the only allowable gear that you can catch snook with is hook and line, and in order to catch and harvest snook, you must have a snook permit and a recreational fishing license. As we know, no commercial harvest or sale of snook is permitted because of the laws passed in 1957. Snook must remain in whole condition until landed ashore, and when for a for-hire trip with a fishing captain, the captain and crew may not retain a bag limit. These two graphs show the recreational catch history of snook in the Gulf of America and in the Atlantic coast. In 1999, there was a peak harvest of around 3 million pounds of snook in the Gulf of Mexico. In 1997, there was a peak harvest of snook of about 4 million pounds in the Atlantic. Since then, the harvest has gone down a lot, mostly because snook is seen as a catch and release fishery. Snook fisheries still face many problems today. As climate changes and waters get warmer, snook continue to expand their territory more north. But when winter comes around and the water gets really cold, they sometimes experience freezes, which kills off these snook. There's also humans-caused pollution such as nutrients, plastics, and many other things that are affecting snook in their day-to-day lives. Eutrophication leading to deadly algae blooms is also a problem that snook face. The most updated version of the IUCN Red List categorizes snook as least concern when it comes to their chances of extinction. This is most likely because of the strict regulations and management of the species by environmental agencies and governments. Today, snook stocks have rebounded and are currently exceeding the FWC's management goal of 40% spawning potential ratio on both the Gulf and Atlantic coast of Florida.